All right, we are live. Oh, how exciting. All right, hello and welcome to Whole Wellness oh my gosh. Oh, today is such a wonderful day. Welcome to Inside Whole Wellness Talk, raw, real, unfiltered. Where keep showing up regardless of how we feel, what's going on in our lives, and sometimes we stumble through words, sometimes life keep happening. The main thing is, like Dr. Bobby and I talked last time, please watch that recording if you haven't yet. Keep showing up. And sometimes your 100% is being here, being present, reaching out, sharing your thoughts and your heart with somebody. Today, I am excited to be with Courtney McCurry, who is a life transition coach and hypnotherapist who guides women through pivotal life transitions at Whole Wellness Coaching. She integrates coaching with hypnotherapy to help clients navigate the uncertain in between stages with clarity and confidence. And Courtney supports women as they rediscover who they're becoming. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you, Dasha. It's so great to be here again. We had such a great chat last time, and it's always a pleasure. So I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, well, excited to have you. And especially today, we're talking about lies and beliefs that we keep telling ourselves that keep us small, whatever that keep you small means to you. And we cannot wait to dive in and really explore what's going on. What's in the way? Who's in the way? Is it us? Is it them? Or just what's going on and why? So, what is the common lie that women tell themselves about, like, they cannot change right now, maybe someday, the other day, but not today?
So a common lie that I see women tell themselves when they come to me is that they they need more time or they don't have enough time. Um, a lot of the women who come to me are in this transitional phase where they've gone through a breakup or they've either broken up with somebody or they've broken up with a previous version of themselves and they're kind of moving into this next chapter because their old life doesn't really resonate with them anymore. And I find that, they tell themselves that, you know, I wish I would have known this before. And I don't know if there's time left to achieve what I want to. And so that's a common lie that I see women telling themselves for sure. It's a lot around timing, not having enough of it or wishing that they would have figured something out beforehand.
Oh, so true. Or just being spread too thin. I need to do
Yes.
this, I need to do that. I don't really have time for myself. And it's interesting that sometimes we have this noble lies like, oh, I am just being realistic. I'm not reaching
Hmm.
for the stars. I am just a mom, a wife, a woman who is just doing what she's supposed to. And that can just keep us small. And we convince ourselves that we feel good about this. So, how
Hmm.
do you navigate that? How do you break that lie?
Well, first, I just have to say that these little noble lies that we tell ourselves, we all do it, right? I mean, I probably
Yes.
done it like 5 times today. Preparing for this interview, I'm like, well, I need to eat first, or I need to whatever, I've got to mop the floors or whatever, you know, just putting things
Everybody
off.
lies.
Yes, yes, we even do, yeah. And so I just want to first normalize it, right? But it's important to be aware of it and to catch yourself and be honest with yourself about it. It's okay to do it, but to deny the fact that you're doing it over and over and over again will really prevent you from growth because you're kind of standing in your own way of achieving or growing into this next version of yourself. Um, so first normalize it for sure. But also look at who you're wanting to become, what you're wanting to attract more of into your life, and then ask yourself, is this noble lie an excuse to prolong the probably uncomfortable work or honesty that I need to face within myself? Or is it really my truth? Like, I really, I can't stand up from this chair right now and do what I need to do. Like, you know, I'm being silly, but is it really just prolonging the discomfort of growing? And when you're really honest with yourself, um, then obviously you'll get that answer. But something that I encourage my clients to do is to ask themselves, what is the risk of not um, doing the growth and uncomfortable things now, and like staying forever, not staying forever, but staying the same for the next X amount of years? What kind of damage is that doing long term? Because if you keep telling yourself the same lie over and over and over again, it's not keeping you safe. It's actually being more destructive. So it's important to kind of zoom out and see how detrimental this little lie that you're telling yourself is, how it's impacting your life long term.
Oh, yeah, so difficult sometimes to even see that. And drop us a comment. What is your noble lie? Yes, my noble lie is that other people needs, my family needs are greater than mine. Mine can wait. And
Yes.
that's, yeah, very interesting catching myself doing this. But also interesting that we don't know what we don't know, and we all have blind spots. Well, that's why we all, even coaches, work with coaches. We ask each other questions all the time, and it's like, hey, can you please help me to zoom out? Can you please help me to see it from the
Yes.
bird's eye view, because it's really difficult. So, in your experience, which is harder to break? A pattern or a lie that we see but can't stop doing, even though we know we should, or the one you're completely blind to?
Yes, you and I talked a little bit before this about this question. It's so good because when I first was thinking about it, I was like, it's glaringly obvious to me which one it is. But then I was thinking about it, I was like, no, both are very frustrating because the first one, when you keep repeating something and you know you're doing it, and like it's infuriating because you're like, I have control over this. Why am I not stopping it? Um, it can feel defeating. But I would have to argue between the two, the second one is probably the hardest to break. The one where you're repeating a pattern that you're completely blind to. Because if you don't know what you need to fix, how are you going to fix it? And so this is where I think, coaching and other forms of healing arts and therapy is really, really helpful because it gives you a third party perspective and can kind of help you see outside of yourself. Because sometimes you're just so close to the issue that you can't see it for what it is. You can't see the roadblocks, you can't see the solutions. And so, working with a coach or a therapist or whomever would be helpful to you. But coaching is amazing because we use a mirroring approach. And so we're really skilled in listening, like intently listening, and then mirroring back what you're saying to us. And when I first started studying coaching and working with coaches myself, it's such a simple practice, but it makes a huge difference because you're like, when they repeat it back to you and you're like, is that really what I think? It's just really it's so great to work with another party who can reflect your thoughts back to you, and help you identify those patterns that are really standing in your way. And more often than not, it's usually you that are you're standing in your own way. And so it's just so helpful to look outside of yourself, when you've tried all the other things and you've tried journaling and meditating and all that stuff is really, really helpful. But coaching is such a great tool because, you are, energetically connecting with somebody and they're able to really be there in real time and reflect those thoughts and patterns back to you. So then you can kind of wake up almost and realize, like, oh, that's what's causing all of this. And then take the next step forward.
Yes, and I know we when we talked about it, it's like for me, it's I don't know, it's obvious the one that I'm so good. I can have PhD in being in my own way. It's such a skill that I mastered over the years. Now I'm doing the reverse action because I was like, well, I know it, I see it. Why I keep doing this? Because it's like, right, if you always did that you've always done, you will always get what you've always got. And it's
Hmm.
that description of insanity, just doing same thing over and over again,
Right.
expecting different
Expecting a
results. And I
different
was like,
result. Yeah.
of course I know it. Like knowing is, I worked with a coach many years ago, and she kept saying, knowing means you doing it. And I always remind myself, I was like, okay, we all know the information is so out there. We have access to it, all of us. We can Google whatever, we can talk to AI about anything. But actually, you said you were silly. Well, actually, sometimes it's so much effort to get up from the chair, from the couch, and just go and do something.
Hmm.
And well, physics, the law of physics, the body in motion will remain an option
Hmm.
in motion. The
Hmm.
body in rest will remain in rest. So difficult to break through that. I was like, oh, just start doing something,
Yes.
little bit.
Anything.
Yes, this morning, I went for a walk with my partner, and then he asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, I'm not sure. He was like, "You've been talking about doing yoga and Pilates again." I was like, "Oh, yes, that's right." And I'm gonna do it for 10 minutes. Well, I ended up doing the whole hour of a workout and a little bit more because I was like, "Oh, this is that, my inner thighs." And all
Yeah.
the girls out there will will understand that.
Relate to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I have all of this cute pink equipment that I got, this
Oh,
like
it's so
stretchy
fun.
bands, and yeah, I was like, I want to play with that, and I had this playful energy in
Approach.
me. And then I just kept on going. It's like, oh, there are so many other things on my list that I've been putting off and putting off. So I ended up replanting some plants, ended up just wiping down some stuff. And I was like, oh gosh, I feel so productive now. I can go and sit on the couch and watch a show and do my nails. And I'm like, it's so simple, yet it's so difficult to do. And we all bring so much baggage and belief. So I wonder, what belief or beliefs do women in transition unconsciously pack up and bring in new life?
Yes, this is such a good question. And again, obviously, it varies from person to person, but a common theme that I see with the clients who I work with is this fear of failure, this belief that they're going to fail because often the clients who I see again are just out of a relationship or who are kind of having like an identity crisis of sorts and their old self no longer fits who they want to be or what resonates with them now. And so when you're ending one chapter and starting another chapter, it's often common for you to think like, oh, I messed up because something's coming to an end, or it didn't end how I thought it was going to, or I thought this was forever, or I thought I knew who I was. Um, but life is all about change. Like what they say is true. The one constant in life is change. And so I see that belief really being carried in, but it's important to something that I truly believe, and not everyone does, is that everything happens for a reason. And so I think it's really important to find, irregardless of what you believe, I think it's important to find the meaning in whatever challenges you faced, or not even challenges, but just the experience from that past chapter. Like find the meaning in it. What did it teach you? And don't look at it as like a mistake or you wasted time, but look at all of the beautiful things you learned from that that you can now take into this next chapter and build upon. And whether it's a divorce or it's a breakup or it's a career transition, again, a lot of women carry this lie or belief with them that like, I don't have enough time. I've wasted time, or there's not enough time for me to make a big change. I have to start over kind of a feeling. And this like this feeling of depletion almost of like, I'm afraid I'm gonna fail again. Well, it's important to shift that perspective that you didn't fail. You were living a chapter of your life that you were destined to live and destined to learn from. And so take those lessons and be grateful for them. That energy transfer from like um, frustration or regret to I'm grateful about what this taught me about myself and the strength that it gave me, and then channel that into the next chapter. And when you do that, it, you're limitless.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. It really is when you shift that perspective. And
Yes, and
so,
also, oh,
yeah, go ahead.
it's interesting that perspective and timing are two very important components, and sometimes absolutely changes everything because, in my experience, fear of success, especially
Yes.
women who were in marriage and long-term relationship with a narcissistic or toxic spouses that deliberately wanted to keep them small because it was so like, oh, somebody can be greater than me. No, no, no. And a lot of us who went through this particular trauma, this is what if I'm successful?
Mm-hmm.
That somebody will come and get it from me, or somebody will come and prevent me from doing this, or somebody will present the choice. For me, it
Yeah.
was the choice family. You want to be a mom or you want to build your career? Of course, for me, I'm a mom first. I want to prioritize my family. But a
Right.
part of me always told me that you can have it all. It's about balance, it's about support system, it's about accountability, responsibility, and all this boring blah blah blah. But also it's so true. And what is your take on that in your mind, in your experience, is it the same spectrum, fear of success and fear of failure, or there are two different things?
Yes, 100%. Great question. You and I were talking about this earlier, and it's funny because even though success and failure seem like they're on opposite sides of the spectrum, they're actually a lot closer than you think. So success and failure aren't opposites, they're points on the same spectrum, often separated only by perspective and timing. And so, you know, it's kind of like um that idea that like you're only failing if you don't get back up again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like getting back up again is success. And it's just you're just one step away from it.
Yeah.
So, like we were saying earlier, they're a lot closer on the spectrum than they are apart because you're just one perspective away from shifting your whole lifestyle. What was that movie with Will Smith and his son, and they were homeless, and he was like,
Oh, Pursuit of
um,
Happiness. Was
Pursuit
it?
of
Yeah.
Happiness. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, this doesn't totally tie into what we're saying, but that movie is really coming to me right now because he just had so many obstacles to overcome, but he chose to look at it like every little step that he took, he chose to look at it as an opportunity instead of like a hurdle that just like sat him back down. And he just kept going. He kept going. And he eventually made something of himself and provided for his family. And like it just goes to show that if you shift your perspective and you just take the next best step, your whole world can change.
Yeah,
So
it's all
I love
about
that movie.
energy.
It's so meaningful.
It is, and also
So
it's
yeah,
about energy. We can put same amount of energy in telling ourselves the lies and coming up with excuses, and we can use the same
yeah.
amount of energy into putting into something. Yes, that is scary. Yes, that is something. I was like, the uncertainty. I feel and also experience it with my clients, that uncertainty, and like I identified myself being a wife, and for me as a
Mhm.
divorce coach, right, it's being divorced myself, that how I identified for a very long time. And now what? I don't really remember how to be single, or I didn't really have experience being single. How can I was like, who am I? What is going on? And I'm curious, how do you help someone distinguish between this is who I am, like me, just my core self, my true self, or this is somebody mistaking that limitation for identity, especially people who went through trauma? How to distinguish those two?
It's such a good question. It's such a good question. And it's really hard to like sort through the difference, especially on your own, sometimes. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. As you mentioned before, like I incorporate hypnotherapy into my services with people who want it, just to help them kind of retrain those limiting beliefs that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I really start off by like explaining the difference between the conscious and subconscious mind. There's essentially two parts of your mind. There's the conscious and the subconscious. And the conscious is like that logic, self-talk, and then the subconscious stores like beliefs and patterns. And its main job is safety, not growth. And so when someone says, this is just who I am, that's when I start to get curious and start asking them, stories, or asking them to share more about where that belief stemmed from. And most limitations are subconscious safety strategies and not necessarily identity. So first, I normalize this so that they don't feel, you know, shame. And then, so like nothing is wrong. The subconscious was just trying to help you. So by telling you, you're a divorcee, or you're, you know, not good in this area of expertise, or you're not a friendly person, or whatever it is, whatever you're clinging to as a form of identity. um it's just those are more limiting subconscious beliefs that once served you, but and it was trying to help you kind of make sense of your reality, but it's not necessarily who you are at your core. So the work then becomes like separating your identity from that conditioning, and then updating the subconscious patterns and beliefs so clients can choose who they want to be and not who they learn to be. So that's a really long, drawn out answer, but I think it's important to bring up the hypnotherapy part of things and kind of like how the mind works.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I experienced hypnotherapy myself as a client, and it really helped me to break through that. I was like, well, I know something is
Hmm.
keeping me from achieving what I want to achieve. Probably that's me most of the time. And
Right.
how can I break it? Because I cannot really understand what's going on, why I sabotage. And that
Hmm.
was, oh my gosh, I what we see in movies, it's just such a disservice to hypnotherapy. It's
And it really
so
is.
amazing, like how can we bypass all of the chatter and all of the limitations, beliefs, thoughts that we keep, like the lies that we keep telling
Yes.
ourselves, and
Hmm.
really just go directly into, okay, let's see what's going on. And many years ago I worked with a therapist, absolutely amazing, with fears and everything, and I was like, oh, I had this lie that fear is bad. And I was like, okay, well, if I feel fear, I am not good enough, I'm not and all stories that went
Yes.
behind this. But what she said that changed my perspective completely, and the timing was perfect too. She said, fear is good. Fantastic. Fear is there to keep you safe. Wonderful. Let's talk to that fear. Let's move towards it, not run away from it. And
Oh, I
that
love that.
single thing changed so much for me because, right, it just so interesting, but also it's really difficult to identify what is fear keeping us safe or
Hmm.
small,
Hmm.
or that is something that really prevented us from wrong, like no, no, stop sign, wrong way, turn around.
Yeah.
And as we know, sometimes like wrong choices feel safe, and
Hmm.
we say we want growth, but then we sabotage. And
Hmm.
we know we wanted, we know we needed, but then how do you help through that sticky place of, okay, fear is good and it's keeping you safe, yet, okay, this is the wrong choice, this is the right choice, and how to navigate this because it's a lot.
Yeah. It's a good question. I do think that if we really quiet our minds, we inherently know the difference. There's a difference between running outside and not looking across the street before you cross it and, making the tough choice to distance yourself from a relationship that you've noticed makes you feel really uncomfortable. So it really obviously depends on the choice. But I think that again, you have to be really honest about what your truth is, what your goals are, and then even if you have to make uncomfortable decisions to get there, whether it's walking away from a toxic job or walking away from a toxic relationship, I mean, and then also too, what is safety to you? Is safety being in a really healthy, great relationship, or is safety having the status of just being in a relationship regardless of if you're happy or not? And I think we know the answer, right? We know the healthy answer. And so, again, it's that painful honesty that you have to ask yourself about really what is safe. And if you are finding safety in a certain situation that's unhealthy, how can you find that safety somewhere else that is healthy? Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Oh, absolutely. And also, like we say at Whole Wellness Coaching, you're the expert as a client, as a person. You're always the
Hmm.
expert. It's our job to help you
Right.
get to
Yes.
that truth that you know.
Yes.
And we also talked about promises that keeping, like, okay, like I know this path is wrong path, that I walk this path and I know the result. And in the long term, long run, that's not a good choice. But also the right choice seems so scary because it's that so many unknown components in there. There is just so much that it's like, oh, that paralysis in the way of like, I know this is the way I supposed to go.
Yes.
And what's interesting, how we talked about promising myself, okay, this is who I want to be. That's why I want to be a person who keeps being healthy, keeps being fit. That means I get to go and do my workout. I get to go and walk. I get to go and get my tush off the couch, um, and do
Hmm.
this. And it's so easy to break promises to ourselves. And that's why, as coaches, we keep that accountability that
Yeah.
it just feels uncomfortable to break promises that we just want to keep with other people.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, accountability is another really great component of coaching because, like you said, it's so easy to break promises to ourselves. But as women, I feel like we're natural caretakers, not to generalize, but I would say that's mostly true. And so it's like I have a fear of disappointing people, um, especially when, they're taking time and effort and expertise. And so I don't want to let anybody down. And I think that coaching is a great way to kind of hold yourself accountable for the promises you're looking to make. Because again, coaching is kind of a mirror to, what you're going through and how to overcome those obstacles. And so this is just a really great way to like keep those promises that you're making to yourself to become the person that you're looking to be. And yeah, it's just another great reason for coaching.
Exactly, yes. And
Yeah.
especially when we go through big transitions in that your specialty, that in between stage that we
Yeah.
all go through when we break the old and the new takes time to build, and that in between stage
Yeah.
can take such a long time.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it's so interesting how all the beliefs and lies pop up and they become so loud. And as a divorce coach working with women who go through that huge transition, the biggest lie I experience myself, I experienced that too. That's why probably I'm so good at helping others see it and overcome it, as I won't be able to do it on my own. Even
Hmm.
though in my specialty is helping women who survive narcissistic abuse. Nobody
Hmm.
is more single, feeling more alone than the spouse of a narcissist. I was like, wait a minute, you already been doing this alone, and you've been a single mom much longer than you actually had a status of a single mom. Let's have this perspective. Look at this. And I feel like as coaches, we take that personal experience that we can help others to navigate that because we already have tried and true
Been
tools.
through
We
it.
already know what doesn't work. So, what lie did you believe yourself about yourself that you now help other women dismantle?
That there's no time left to achieve what I want to achieve. Like going back to what we put to your initial question about what lie I see most commonly believed by women, and that's it. And I just a little backstory on me. In 2017, I went through a horrific breakup, and there was so much going on in my personal life, from family health issues to me kind of wanting to do a career change and realizing that I wasn't surrounded by people who reflect who I was becoming, combined with the fact that I thought a relationship I was in was going to end in marriage and it didn't. And so my whole world came crashing down. And I was in my late 20s. And of course, as women, we have these timelines in our head of like, we got to reach certain milestones by a certain age, or at least I did personally. And I know a lot of women who can relate to that. And so when all of that was going on, I thought to myself, like, failed. I failed. And this isn't where I want to be. I'm running out of time. How am I going to be able to have children or the life that I want? Or, all of the good guys are taken, all of the lies that I told myself essentially. Um, and so I ended up saying goodbye to this chapter that I was building in Phoenix, Arizona, where I was living at the time, and moving back in with my parents and really just taking the time to like reconnect with my faith, my belief system, my family, um, my joy, the things that built me as a person, like things that genuinely make up Courtney McCurry. I reconnected with those things. And through that, my perspective shifted. And I realized that everything happens for a reason. These things that I went through only made me stronger. And I have plenty of time, but it's important to do something with that time. It, it was an opportunity for me to now make decisions that aligned with my actual truth that I was entering into. And through that, I was able to rebuild my life. And I'm so happy that I took that time to really reflect and re-energize, recalibrate, whatever you want to call it, and then make those decisions for myself. And so I forget your initial question, but
The lie or belief that you had yourself and
yes,
overcame that you're helping others to
yes,
dismantle
thank
right
you.
now.
So that whole story did have a point because I was so down on myself, believing that I didn't have any time left and that everybody else had it figured out. And like this chapter that I had just gone through was a waste. And so I'm now helping women who are in the same position, who are kind of going through whether it be a relationship crisis or an identity crisis, figure out what's important to them and then start living by it and believing that there is enough time, that they didn't fail. And in fact, there was meaning behind whatever chapter or incident took place that brought you down in the first place. It was meant to happen. And if you can find the meaning in it and find what to be grateful for, you can channel that into the next chapter and really make it your best one yet. So that
That's
is,
so
yeah,
good. I love it.
yes,
Drop us a comment. What is your favorite lie? And I know how ridiculous it sounds, but we all have that favorite, something that we keep telling ourselves not to get up, not to go and do something that is uncomfortable, but at the end of the day brings us the results that we want. I'm curious, and I'm sure, Courtney, you're curious as well. What is your favorite
yes,
lie?
yes,
um, and also, you brought up as women and men alike, we keep saying and telling ourselves, oh, like I would rather stay in this uncomfortable relationship, a toxic relationship, because all good guys or good women are taken, or there are not good people out there, and why change that? I know I'm gonna be hurt anyway, and all of the stuff that keep us from changing it. So when women keep choosing that unavailable partners or draining friendships and staying in that place of just that toxic relationship in general, what's the deeper pattern beneath that?
I would have to say, through my experience and working with clients and my own personal experience as well, is a disconnect from self, which then leads to turning a blind eye to your self-worth and self-love. It's it's hard for me to describe it any other way, but I once heard this quote that it's important to look at yourself through God's eyes. And whether or not you're religious, I think most people could understand the meaning of, or through like a parent to a child's eye, like just have so much like grace for yourself. Remember all of these beautiful qualities that you had or that you do have, and think of yourself like your younger self and what you would say to your younger self, and like just all of the things that brought you joy and your quirks, and just looking at yourself through that loving, that unconditional loving eye. And when you see yourself through that lens, then and then you compare that to these friendships or relationships who are abusive or toxic or counterproductive or draining, then it's they're polar opposites, right? And so I guess to your question, the reason for it is because you're disconnected from your sense of self and what you love about yourself and what you think you're worthy of. And so when you tap back into that joy And when you really just carve out time being by yourself and liking your alone time and getting to know yourself, reconnecting with your beliefs, picking up hobbies that you've always wanted to try, or reconnecting with an old friend, or talking to your parents or family members who like bring you joy and remind you of like simpler times. Like through that energetic exchange, then you're able to feel a huge like difference between what that is and what healthy is, and that magnetism, that positivity versus this draining, negative, toxic scenario over here. So I just think that's an important way and a good way to decipher between what's good and what's bad, if that answers
Yeah,
your question.
yeah, absolutely. And also trauma, right? We all have trauma one way or the other. And especially at Whole Wellness Coaching, we work a lot with survivors of domestic violence and
Mhm.
helping to come to power. Like we I feel most of us encounter some situations in life when we feel powerless, hopeless, and then it's so difficult to claim that power back. And we have an amazing course coming up very, very soon. I'm working as a program director at Whole Wellness Coaching pretty much day and night to make it the best product, the best course for reclaiming your voice after abuse, becoming unstoppable,
Mhm.
building that self-confidence and self-worth. So there is no way you can feel all right and tell
Yes.
yourself this lie that you're okay and feel good about staying in that draining relationships.
Mhm.
And it's an amazing course that just we put so much in it, so much research and our personal experiences as coaches, as a lot of us at Whole Wellness Coaching, we went through domestic violence, so we have our personal experiences, and it's there's nothing like it on the market, and not not
That's amazing.
um,
That's
just
so,
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. I'm
Thank
really
you.
glad you mentioned that. And I know it's going to be an amazing course, and you're so thoughtful. And we have so many experts and great people working behind the scenes. And so I'm looking forward to that coming out.
Yes, thank you. I just get so emotional because that it's, in a way, it's giving birth to a baby because that's just, it's been in the works for almost 9 months.
Hmm.
It's just, again, such an amazing course that just been so helpful to everybody who already tried it. The prototype of it, the beta version, and what's coming to the market. It's going to be amazing for people who love doing the work and who are not afraid of doing the work, who want to break through the cycle and pattern and reclaim
Yeah.
the power. It's the name of this course is from, oh my gosh, I am blanking on the name. I got so just so emotional thinking
Wrapped
about
up in the
it.
emotions. Yeah,
It's
it happens.
to from silence to unstoppable, reclaim your voice after abuse. So
Wow,
stay
that's
tuned.
really powerful.
Thank you. All right. I I feel like we can keep we we just really can talk about all of this, all the lies, the patterns, the beliefs, because there's so many of them and there's such an impact having that, limiting things and thoughts and all of that conditioning that we have, that it's, I don't know, again, we can keep talking for hours and hours,
Talk about it
hours,
all day. I
all day,
know.
exactly. And
Mhm.
I know it's a very tricky one, but if you could interrupt just one cycle for every woman listening, what would it be? And what would be the first micro step to break it?
So, oh gosh, there are many, but something that I always get really fired up about a certain pattern or cycle that I see. Not necessarily a belief, although there's belief behind it, but a cycle of kinds is stop doing what looks good on paper and do what feels right to you. Emphasis on feel. Like you will know what feels right to you. And if that's, you know, leaving your 9 to 5 to move back in with your parents and recalibrate and do some reflecting, if that's leaving a relationship that you've been in for a long time that doesn't support your growth. They don't want to work with you on the issues. They just want to, ruminate in their issues, but you're afraid of, having single as your Facebook status or whatever it is. If you're making a decision that's aligned with societal expectations and what looks good on paper, but it doesn't feel good to you, that would be a cycle that I would love to help women stop because I know how much it changed my life to stop adhering to what other people want me to do and to choose my own path and walk my own path. It's very freeing and very rewarding. And I would say, as first micro step to that is, again, not to sound too philosophical, but really be honest with yourself. Why is it that you want X, Y, and Z? Or why is it that you are in this position in the first place? And what do you actually want? You, not anybody else. What do you want? And then go after it. And make sure your why is aligned with truth. I don't want a car because everybody else has that certain car or whatever it is. That's just an example, but make sure that your what and your why are really aligned with your truth and go after it because the world needs who you were made to be. My favorite quote, like you are doing the world a disservice by not standing in your truth because I truly believe that we were all destined to come here and serve out a purpose and that our story is meant to impact other people who are going through the same thing. So yes, I understand there's shame associated with trauma and transition and all of those sorts of things, but use that story as your power and then let it inform your journey ahead.
Oh, so valuable. Yes. And I love that you remind us over and over again. And this is something that I feel all of us gotta hear every single day, multiple times a day.
Mhm.
Be of who you are because you just meant to be you. And we talked about showing up in front of the camera and sharing what we know. Because again, the information is out there. It's all about our personal perspective because there is no one like you, like me,
Right.
like Dr. Charlene, like Lisa, Dr. Bobby, Heather, we all know pretty much similar things, more or less, but how we take these things and get through us, through our perspective, in
Mm-hmm.
our time, how we just see that and we can share with the world from different perspectives how this one thing works, and that is absolutely amazing. So that's just keep showing up, keep sharing, because sometimes I listen to something unrelated to psychology, unrelated to life coaching. Sometimes my little guilty pleasure is true crime podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear something, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like why
Mm-hmm.
that person did whatever they did. What was their reasoning? And that makes sense understanding other person's perspective, even though there's some judgment towards that person. It's like just so amazing how all these puzzle pieces are coming together. And also, you said something the other day when we were talking that again shifted that perspective. The timing of that perspective was absolutely incredible for me. Do more of what makes you happy. Claim that right now. Don't wait for that perfect condition to do it, versus focusing on what's draining you, because let's face it, we all have something that drains us. We cannot escape it completely. That is unrealistic expectation. But shifting
Hmm.
perspective and doing something, filling up days with more walks, more horseback riding. That's my big
Yes.
pleasure. More hiking, more just looking outside on the greenery, whatever it can be, but being honest
Yeah.
first and foremost and be like, uh-huh, okay, you're saying you want that change, you still keep focusing on what's draining you. And
Yeah.
that's why we have coaches in our lives, and that's why we work with coaches ourselves, because it's just so valuable to see that. It's like, you said this, wait a minute, what's there, let's dig.
Yeah.
Otherwise we would, like you said, mirroring.
Hmm.
Oh, did I say that? I remember when I started Toastmasters, and I was in Toastmasters for almost 9 years. The beginning of it, when somebody told me you have to record yourself to really see where, like, just what's going on, why you don't feel like your message is coming across. Oh, I remember how much I was that cringe.
Painful, painful.
It's so
Yeah.
painful. And I
Yeah.
was blushing because I felt so much shame. I was like, oh my gosh, why do I make this with my face? Why I anim my hands, they live their own life. And all of that, like, why do I sound like this? Why I stand like this? Why I look like, it was like on and on and on. But over time, just seeing what was not working for me, or what was I didn't like, and changing this. But that first step of, oh my God, I gotta watch myself again. I would rather do anything else. But that was a big moment that really changed my public speaking, and then it was a ripple effect of other things that changed along the way, that confidence and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, everything that you just said was perfect and right on. And I'm just thinking about coaching because I know like a lot of people are unfamiliar with coaching and like the difference between therapy and coaching. And so I feel like kind of the need to speak to this just to build off what you were saying. And what's so great about coaching is that you can find coaches that have specifically gone through the exact same issue as you and who have the tools and resources designed to help you through that specific situation. All the while, though, we make it about the client. So we're not just feeding you advice in hopes that you'll take it. We know the right questions to ask and the right reflections to give you in order for you to come up with your own solutions to get out of that situation or to move on to the next chapter or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve because we've been there. So we're listening, we're mirroring back to you what it is you're saying to us. We're intently listening to details. We're asking, you know, I want to say provocative questions, but I mean like deep questions that really help you like go within. And so really the answers and those solutions are coming from clients, but we are guiding them to their own solutions, which like if somebody tells you to do something, you're not as likely to do it if you don't believe in it or you didn't come up with it yourself. And so that's what I love about coaching is like you're more likely than not to do the growth and to make the changes because you're coming up with those solutions. We are helping you come up with realistic solutions that you think are great, and we're helping you stay accountable for them, right? And
Yes.
so growth is inevitable when you're working with a coach, which I is just amazing. And if you haven't tried it and you're curious about it and want to make like 2026 your best year yet, and anything that we're saying here today resonates with you, I highly encourage you look into whole wellness coaching because it's an awesome resource and we everyone here feels a call to help others who are going through these scenarios. And I know, Dasha, you would probably say the same, but we are just so passionate about this work. And it's not, it's not just a job, it's who we are and who like what we've been called to do. And so if you are struggling and any of this resonates with you, I highly recommend checking us out.
Yes, I second that. It's a calling, and we love hearing from you. So please drop us a comment, DM here, reach us at www.wholewellnesscoaching.org. We're a nonprofit 501c3 organization that helps deliver high quality, the highest possible quality coaching to all, because coaching for everyone, accessible, affordable, empowering. And we're here for you. You are not alone. And as Courtney's been saying, and we all been saying at Whole Wellness, you are not designed to go through life challenges alone, through life transitions alone, to be in that in between stage of life and transition and transformation and change alone. That's why we're here. And we absolutely love helping people. Yes, this is a calling that we have. So, yes, it might be scary. Change is scary. Unknown is scary, but we are here every step of the way. And you're the expert of being you. We're here to support that and celebrate that and just help you to be that partner you want to be, that person who breaks through that patterns and moves on. So the coaching is about how to move forward, how to just spread your wings and fly. And that is so amazing. And while therapy is about the why, we keep repeating the patterns, why that pattern was born in us. And it's hand in hand, therapy and coaching. It's such an amazing transformational place of that healing arts. So wonderful. And I'm so glad that we explored the topic of that lies that keep us small, because that is so important to take that first deep breath and that first step of looking in the mirror and asking, what is the lie? What is the truth? What is the pattern? Who am I amongst all of that? And how I can go through this in between place, how I can go from point A where I am right now to point B of where I want to be, and just asking this amazing question. So, if anything that we shared today, explored today, discussed today resonated, please reach out to us at www.wholewellnesscoaching.org or drop us a comment at this video, and please let us know what else you would love us to explore, what questions you have, what topics you would like us to discuss or discuss with us. Let us know. Well,
Awesome.
Courtney, thank you so much for having the real, unfiltered, raw talk with me today. And that Inside Whole Wellness talks are amazing. They're my favorite time of the day when we do these conversations.
Me too. Thanks so much for having me. Great conversation as always. And yes, I'm happy to be on again and see what everyone wants to talk about and have another raw and real honest conversation because we're all in this together. And as coaches, we are here to help.
Yes. Well, thank you. All have a good night. Thank you for joining us for Inside Whole Wellness Talk, raw, real, unfiltered. And remember that coaching for everyone, affordable, accessible, empowering, and you are not alone and you're stronger than you think you are.